February 13th, 2017 Board of Education meeting. And we know that, if you guys out there haven't bought your wives something, you need to do so by tomorrow with Valentine's coming up on us here. But anyway, we're glad you're here. Hope you're enjoying the warm weather. I understand that there's going to be some cold and snowy weather come March. Yes. Dr. Stone? No, seriously. I know Dr. Stone doesn't like cold weather, nor does he like snowy weather, but nonetheless, we've been blessed here in the last few days with some spring-like weather. We're glad you're here. At this time, I'd like to recognize fellow board member Joe Sims.
Thank you. I would like for us at this time to take a little time to reflect on the things that each of us are blessed with, and remember our schools, the administrators, and the students, and their families. Let's pause for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sims. Tonight, doing our Pledge of Allegiance, let me first of all introduce the Scoutmaster, and this is the Troop 271 from Whitmore United Methodist Church. Steve Austin is the Scoutmaster, and the Assistant Scoutmaster is Gary Hughes. So we appreciate you bringing your two young men here tonight. We have Zane Stokes, 8th grader at Gamewell Middle School, and Nick Moser, 7th grader at Gamewell Middle School, and they're going to be doing our Pledge of Allegiance. So if you gentlemen will come forward. Everyone please stand.
Please join me in pledging allegiance. Salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Two.
Thank you, Zane and Nick, for being here tonight. We have a couple guests. We have Sheriff with us tonight, Sheriff Alan Jones. Thank you for being here this evening. And also the Mayor of Hudson, Janet Winkler. Thank you for being here. And we're going to move along with the agenda. And the next item is the approval of the agenda. And
Mr. Chairman, I would like to amend the agenda somewhat to add a closed session after item 12, and then to move item 11, action item 3 to take place after the closed session.
okay, do I hear a motion that we approve the agenda as amended?
I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Also notice we've got Mr. Jeff Branch here, County Commissioner. Jeff's in the back there. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it anytime you can be here, and we appreciate the support of the County Commissioners. Next item is the minutes. And on January the 9th, we had our regular school board meeting here at the Education Center, and we also had a closed session that night as well. Do I hear a motion that we approve both sets of minutes that the board's had opportunity to review?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 9th regular session and closed session.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And also, on the 23rd of January, we did our board walkthrough. Started out at 8 o'clock and finished up probably around 1 o'clock, and we thoroughly enjoyed that opportunity to get out into the schools. And we had a chance for a public comment session. So do I hear a motion that we approve the minutes of the public comment session that we had on January 23rd?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes from the public comment session on January 23rd.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion passes. Next item on the agenda is public comment, and we did receive a request for public comment. This time I'd like to recognize Ann Smith, who is a council member in the town of Hudson. So Ann, if you'd come forward, we would appreciate your comments at this time.
I have some handouts for you. Do you mind helping me pass those out? Thank you. Chairman Pennell, board members, and Dr. Stone, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you briefly regarding the Horizon building and the town of Hudson's interest in it. I have information that I brought that I'd like to share with you tonight as to how we would put the building to use if we're given the opportunity to purchase it. And we believe that we can help the building serve children and adults of all ages. When we took on the building that formerly housed Hudson Elementary School, we saved and restored a building of great historical value to the county. It's a building that means so much to the people in our community. It served the community as a high school in the early years. Then it became an elementary school until a new school was built some years ago. And then it was to remain vacant until we acquired the building and we renovated it. We quickly learned that renovating a building that has been a school is not an inexpensive venture, but we're so glad that we did. The building that we now affectionately call the Hub has become a gathering place for many of the county's citizens. It's been used for dinner theaters, proms, weddings, church services, birthday parties, anniversary celebrations, Christmas parties, business meetings, and more. With the acquisition of the Horizons property, we plan to extend the services offered at the Hub and add a business center to promote entrepreneurship, to build new businesses in our county, to increase and promote economic development. The acquisition of this property would provide an increased opportunity to work with students in the Career Center in Caldwell County Schools and the Small Business Center at CCC&TI. The information I've provided for the Center of the Arts and Business Center at this site demonstrates not only the new programs to be offered in the Horizons building, it also provides information on programs that can be offered at the Arts Center with the increased space and parking. The Business and Arts Center are critical to our efforts to promote Caldwell County as a destination for tourists and visitors traveling 321. And to increase economic development by bringing them into our downtown business center and directing them to other areas of interest in the county. Now, taking on this building is an ambitious goal for us. We are beginning our budget meetings, and we need to develop a financial plan for the center. When we realized the decision on the building was to be made at tonight's meeting, we wanted to be here to share our vision with you. We very much enjoy being one of your business partners, and we believe that this is a great project we can work on together for many years to come. 3 of our town commissioners, one of whom is here tonight, our mayor is here, currently serve on the Education Foundation. It's Larry Chapman, Janet Winkler, and myself. Carl Wagner, Rebecca Bentley, our town manager, and I have served on the foundation and various school committees. We have always supported education in the town of Hudson. So I would ask you to take a look at the handouts that I have given you, and I will be brief and just let you ask me questions if you have them. The first handout is a handout on the Business Center, and you can see that our intent would be to have a small business incubator that would contain 3 to 4 office spaces to rent to vocational students graduating from the college or Caldwell County schools. And of course, these incubators would have a common area and a boardroom, and then there would be mentors assigned to the students to remain with them during their time in the incubator. We would also have classrooms set up for businesses that would teach topics such as business plans, types of business loans, business insurance, business law, and tax planning. And then make part of the center available for office space that would house attorneys, accountants, marketing, promotional or visual arts, all things that would support business. The next handout is on the Center of the Arts, and we already have a head start on this with the auditorium that we have and the promotions that we've done through dinner theater, but we would add to that visual art exhibits, art studios, classes for students that would include drawing, painting, voice, acting, dance, a gift shop that would promote the county with various items that have been created by artists or Caldwell County items from all the municipalities. A coffee shop and cafe that would be open to complement the gift shop during events and classes. And then lastly, a museum that would be a satellite for the Caldwell County Historical Museum and the Depot Museum. Now these, is my time up?
Yeah.
Okay.
We allocate roughly about 3 minutes.
All right, I had one more thing I was going to mention to you. Camp Enterprise, which is the last thing on your handout. I'll let you read
Okay.
that.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it very
Thank
much,
you.
Mrs. Smith. We'll move along with announcements. February 13th through 17th is Bus Driver Appreciation Love the Bus Week. So we know that the bus drivers are very important, and many children in our county ride the buses. So if you have an opportunity, tell the bus driver and that takes your children to school each day how much you appreciate what they do. They do a valuable service for us here in the county. March 2nd, Dr. Zeus's birthday, Read Across America, and many of the board members are going to be traveling around the county that day and reading in various elementary schools across the county. So we look forward to that. Our next meeting will be here in the boardroom on March 13th at 6 o'clock, but we will have a work session that same day beginning at 3 o'clock, and it will be here at the Ed Center as well. Obviously, we will have the meeting on the 13th. The 20th, we will have our last board walkthrough of the year, and that'll mostly encompass the West School District schools and a couple others that we had not had the opportunity to visit up to this point. Okay, also wanted to mention or at least show appreciation to Dr. Church for putting our sideboards here. We wanted to make sure that Teresa and Ann stayed on the level up here, so thank you very much, Dr. Church, for doing that. I know it's we wouldn't want anybody falling off the edge there. All right, next is the honors and recognition. I'd like to call on Ms. Libby Brown, Community Relations Director. The board will move down front and we will acknowledge these students and also teachers that are being recognized tonight.
Chairman Pennell, board members, and Dr. Stone. It is always our pleasure to recognize beautiful and inspiring pieces of artwork on display in the Education Center Gallery, and the ones we have on display now will be on display throughout the month of February. So we invite you back throughout the month of February, and it would be a wonderful Valentine's gift. I was thinking about this as Mr. Pennell said this about Valentine's tomorrow. If you make sure you have a picture of your child beside their artwork, because this would make a lovely gift for someone in your family. So So try to do that. That would be a very special keepsake for someone in your family. We'd like to recognize all of our art students, and we're going to start with William LENOIR Middle School. Rachel Bast, and Rachel is an 8th grader at William LENOIR Middle School. Lisa Vaughn is the principal, and Leah Rhodes is the art teacher, and I know I saw Rachel earlier. So Rachel's here. If you want to come forward, we'd like to recognize you. Let's give her a round. Abigail Gregg. Abigail is also an 8th grader at William LENOIR Middle School. And Abigail is here, so let's give. You can see the artwork on display in front of you. Brighten up the room. NATALIE HAMM. NATALIE is also an 8th grader at William LENOIR Middle School. So, NATALIE. Jillian Jones. Jillian is an 8th grader. Beautiful artwork at William LENOIR Middle School. So congratulations, Jillian. MAZIE Wakefield. She is our 6th grader. So come forward. We are proud of you. That mosaic piece of art, very beautiful. And this is William LENOIR. Our next group are elementary students. Leah Rose, okay, but Mrs. Vaughn is here.
Y'all want to come on over this way? We're going to get a picture right in here. Y'all need to be right in the front there. There we go.
Great looking group. Good group of Wildcats there. Thank you. Now we're moving to Lower Creek Elementary School, and we'll start with Libby Banks, 3rd grader at Lower Creek Elementary. Libby is here. And Leanne Fry is principal. Stephanie Woody Groeschel is the art teacher. David Booth, 4th grader. David, love that piece of yarn work there. Is he here with us? Okay, he's there. Okay. Dakota Clark, 1st grader. 4th grade. Okay. Zoe Gutierrez. Kindergartner? All right. And Skyla Lale, 2nd grader. Skyla isn't here. Okay, we're going to do the next elementary school with this group. Okay. Kelly Smith is principal at Davenport A+, and Dabney Smith is the art teacher. Josias Gabrera, and he is a 1st grader. Angel Hendricks, and Angel is a 5th grader at Davenport A+. Angel's here with us. Tori Killian. Tori is also a 5th grader at Davenport. What's the Esteban Lynch, 2nd grader at Davenport. And Triston Williams. Triston is a 1st grader. All right. Congratulations, students. We're so proud of your artwork. very special that was selected at the school level, and it's on display for the month of February. So let's squeeze in the middle here so we can get a nice picture. So parents, feel free to come up and get a photograph.
Oh, everybody you might forget.
Dabney Smith. Yes, there's Dabney. And Kelly.
Anyone else? All right. One, two, three.
Thank you. Congratulations again to our budding artists right here in the Caldwell County Schools. The next item is hot off the press. So last weekend, the North Carolina Beta Convention was held, and we had several of our local high school students participating and bringing back the winning trophies. So we're going to start with students at South Caldwell High School, and Chad Smith, principal, is here, and Jonathan Hass is the Beta sponsor. We'll start with Lexi Bell. She is at South Caldwell High School. She placed first in biology at the North Carolina Beta Convention. Next, we have Meredith Ingram at South Caldwell High School, placed second in advertising design at the North Carolina Beta Convention, as well as Aubrey Miller at South Caldwell High School. As did Amanda Weinbarger at South Caldwell High School, and Cameron Connor at South Caldwell High School. Very proud of these four students. They all placed second in advertising at the state level: Meredith, Aubrey, Amanda, and Cameron. Then Daniela. Okay, sure. So we've got our high school students. We're running out of space. Jonathan, you want to come forward?
All right, we're coming this way. Come over here.
Ken Robbins is here, assistant principal. We've got several more pictures. I know moms and dads want pictures. Okay, we have one more from South Caldwell, and that's Danella Berry. And her father's here with her, Andy Berry, who is the principal at Caldwell Elementary School. And she won second place for her presentation in service for the Souls of Hope. Souls, S-O-L-E-S, of Hope. That was her project, and she did have assistance from Cameron and Amanda. Yeah. So, but we're very proud of her. Okay. And we have Mason Smith. Mason is our freshman at High Brighton High School. We're very proud of him. North Carolina Beta Convention participant, and he placed third in social studies. So Mason, very proud of you. Let's give her. Okay, from the Early College High School, we have Caitlin Finley, and Caitlin placed first in the junior agriculture competition at the North Carolina Beta Convention. So, first place. And we have Deanna Kilby, also from the Early College High School, who placed second in poetry at the North Carolina Beta Convention. So, have a good array of academics here. I want to move, Mason, if you want to move to the center. You and Caitlin.
Yes, any principals?
Mr. Smith, Candace is here. Jonathan, and we also have Ms. Greeno and then Ms. Land, the other beta sponsors, and Mrs. Link from the early college, so please join us. Make sure you find a spot back there in the back. Congratulations. Very good job. Now we're going to turn our attention to a teacher in the Caldwell County Schools. Scott Settlemeyer, masonry teacher at South Caldwell High School, has been awarded the 2016 Construction Trades Teacher of the Year by the Caldwell County Home Builders Association. This is the second consecutive year that he has been the recipient of this distinguished honor, which has only been in place for 2 years, mind you, and voted on by the members of the Home Builders Association. As a former business owner of Precision Masonry Company, Settlemeyer entered the teaching field in 1998. He teaches courses in career technical education and, of course, masonry. Students who are focused in this career field may enroll and complete courses that earn them National Construction Registry certification, and if they continue through the masonry pathway, they become accredited as they complete each required module. So we're very proud of Mr. Settlemeyer, not only for being an excellent teacher in the classroom, but being an excellent person to prepare those students to enter the workforce. So, Scott Settlemeyer.
You want your wife? Sure. She looks a lot better than Cheyenne. I agree. I'll take her with that. Oh, and she got some lunch. Yeah, we'll just take a picture. Chad, you're in the next one, so Herb, take care of us so we can get you up here. Right here.
Did you want to say a few words? You said a few words last year. Would you like to say a few words? You said some inspiring words last year.
I'll promise to keep it under 3 minutes. Well, I don't have a nice story to tell you like last year when we was building a wall around the oak tree at Hudson, but we finished that up last spring. But there is some exciting things coming down the line, and there's one I wanted to share with y'all because I didn't think y'all had probably heard of it. The Masonry Association had come to a conclusion that there are not going to have enough masons in the field when the businesses bust open, which is what they're expecting to come. So the National Masonry Association took some people to Washington and passed, and I don't know the fancy words, I guess passed a bill that makes every masonry unit sold in the United States, 2 cents off of that has to go into a fund to be used to get young masons out of high school into the masonry field. Well, the guy called me and he said, he told me about this, and he said, and they chose me to be over this fund, and he said, you're the only teacher I know. So it was someone I knew. And I said, well, that's good. Bring your checkbook and come on down. We need some things. So, but he came down and we met and we talked, and we've met a few times, and I've introduced him to some other teachers in the county and outside the county. And we're working on this thing, and I'm pushing for it to happen, and he's helping with funding, and we've got a masonry owner in Mooresville that's working with us, Bob Gates. He built the early college here in Caldwell County. And he's looking at building dorms at his business so that when these young men come out of high school, we can take them and introduce them to him. He can house them in these dorms, sign apprenticeship contracts with them, 3-year apprenticeship program through North Carolina, and then of course there'd be more with that so he could get a return in investment. And so right now basically what we're doing is we're telling these young men that's graduating, I can put you to work, but it's not going to be around here because there's no real building going on around here. But you get 75 miles away from here and it's booming. So we can enter these kids into these programs, and it'd be basically like sending them to college, except you're pairing them with an employer, and they're walking them through their first 3 years or 5 years or whatever it may be. So some of the funding is going to be used for that, hopefully. I'm pushing for that hard because I've got kids that's wanting to get out here into this business, and there's just no one in Caldwell County to really place them in the masonry business. And especially on the commercial side. The commercial side is what's starting to open up and starting to boom. And then some of that funding is going to be offered to the school systems to help with the programs, to help make them more attractive for the students that are interested in that type of stuff, because we know, you know, we cater to some students that is their interest, hands-on is their interest, and that's a percentage of the students, but it is a part of them, and that's the part we relate to, you know. So I wanted to share that with y'all. There's some interesting, neat things that's coming down the line that's getting ready to happen. It's got me excited, and I was looking at leaving out in one more year at 20 years because I got some other things going on. But this has kindly got me fired up to stay a while, so I may stay for a few more years because of this happening. But thank y'all.
It's hard to let the good ones go, isn't it? So congratulations again to Scott Settlemeyer, our North Carolina Beta Convention winners, and our art students. So remember, those pictures are worth 1,000 words, and they're 0 calories for tomorrow, okay? So have a happy happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you for being here. We will have our business meeting beginning here in just a minute. Thank you for coming out tonight. Have a good evening.
Maybe with this.
Boy, we know how to clean out a room. And
Yeah,
come back.
I will.
Bye, Jeff. You're not going to stick around? I always stay for your meetings.
Terrible. I
See?
thought he was here to support you, Teresa. I thought he was like, it's the love evening.
Okay, we'll go ahead and continue on with the meeting. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our superintendent, Dr. Steve Stone.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we have with us Angie Ashley, who is the Executive Director for the Caldwell Council on Adolescent Health, and she usually comes to us once a year with good news about what used to be in this county, something that really made us stand out in Raleigh in a bad way, was because of our teenage pregnancy rate. So always glad to see Angie when she brings us good news.
Correct. And I know my timing is 4 minutes and 52 seconds, so I'll try my best. Again, I'm Angie Ashley. I'm the Executive Director of the Caldwell Council on Adolescent Health. This begins my 18th year. 4 years I was educator, and the last years as Executive Director. And I love that he said I come bearing good news, because I do. I have a very quick presentation for you. I want to go over our programs because they have changed. We have several programs now. Operation Safer Sorry is our longest running program, and it serves every 7th, 8th, and 9th grader in our county, a pregnancy prevention curriculum. And just to catch you up, back in 1983 when the council was founded, we were number 4 out of 100 counties for the most teen pregnancies. Always changing. Luckily, money has been found again in Title V funding with the state and federal government. And that allows us to go into 5th and 6th grade and do 1 and 2 day courses for Puberty 101 and some bullying information as well. Adolescent Parenting Program is a program that has been in this county many years, and now it's housed at the council. It works with our county's pregnant girls, and it does help them to graduate and have healthy babies, and the main objective is to hopefully prevent a second pregnancy. Parents Matter. I am really excited about this. We had our first session. Parents Matter is for parents in the county, and it's always hard to get parents to come out to any kind of program. We were supposed to recruit 6 to 7 parents, and I'm happy to say I have 10. I'll get a little more into that in just a moment, but that is our newest program. It's paid for a grant through the state, North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. Operation Safer Sorry, it just gives you a little more information here. Tells you what we do. It's aligned with the Healthy Youth Act and the law HB 88. Includes vital information about the consequences of sex, and the bottom paragraph tells you pretty much what we do in class. A lot of it is to build self-esteem so that young people can negotiate and refuse certain things like having sex and even drugs and alcohol. Always changing, again, is for our 5th and 6th graders. We go in and talk about bullying. We also say that puberty is going to happen to everyone, and it is usually in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade that we see puberty beginning. It's a 1 or 2 day, male and female are separated. It teaches that everyone is going to experience it at different rates. And this is where we usually see our bullying begin. It's because you're taller, you're shorter, you're bigger, you're smaller, you look different, you have acne. So we really talk about the sensitivities of that and how we all need to understand everybody goes through this at a different rate. The Adolescent Parenting Program, very happy about this for the graduation rate we'll see in just a moment. But the goals, again, are to prevent the second pregnancy. The statistic now lays somewhere like if a girl has a pregnancy before the age of 16, there's a 62% chance she'll have a second pregnancy by age 18. And when you are talking tax dollars, we want to prevent that as much as possible. Our Adolescent Parenting Program coordinator goes into home visits. It's basically, she's like a caseworker. She works with the family, she works with the father sometimes, and the child. We want them to be self-sufficient. We want them to attain a high school diploma or equivalent and have a healthy pregnancy. Statistics, my favorite part. If you look at the bottom first, you'll see 2001, and then we'll go up to current 2015. The most recent statistics we have on teen pregnancy is 2015. It's usually about a year behind. Couple things I want to point out is the state researches and gives us information in different categories: under age 14, age 15 to 17, and age 18 to 19. The Caldwell Council on Adolescent Health's target is age 15 to 17 because we are in the school system. And that shows you the decreasing number of pregnancies. I remember well in 2001 when I was employed, that 120 number. I'll never forget that number. And I'm really happy to say now, if you look at 2015, that is the total number of pregnancies we had in Caldwell County, age 15 to 17, 19 pregnancies. For the last 3 years, 13, 14, and 15, none were under the age of 14. So those are some really good statistics. Graduate.
Is it correct that that last category of 18 to 19 could be a married woman?
Oh, they're
child,
most
as long as
certainly.
they're
They
within
could
that
be
age
married,
limit?
have good jobs, and have 2 kids.
Okay.
So, you know, and I look at that different ways. It helps us get grant money, but it's not a realistic snapshot of teen pregnancy. Not in my book, but the state counts it that way. So it does help us. Also hurts us as well because there's no place, one place that we can go to educate those people. Good point. Graduated student mothers. These are the moms that we have in the adolescent parenting program from the year it started in 2012. And I'll let you just kind of cruise through that and look. So far in our program, we have a 100% graduation rate. Some of the girls even early graduate in December. So this program is just really, really looking good. They have not released the duplicate teen pregnancy rate yet for 2015. We're waiting on that. But none of our girls have had a second pregnancy. I'll let you just look at that one more second, make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, okay. Currently, this year, what we are tracking, we have 16 pregnant teens. There's one in every high school, early college, and middle college. My favorite. We finally, in 2014, and I'll break this down, Caldwell County's rate is the top, North Carolina's rate is at the bottom, and you'll see that age, again, rate age 15 to 17. Basically, the rate is this. Per 1,000 girls age 15 to 17, what is the rate? Go out to the side where you see the decimal points. In 2002, our rate was 40.3. What that meant was 40.3 girls out of 1,000 age 15 to 17 got pregnant. In 2014, 14.5 girls got pregnant. 2015, do you see the asterisk? I love this asterisk. That means we're too low to even have a rating. It's too low to calculate. We are now below the state rate. Yay. Thanks to funding, thanks to good parents, thanks to you people, this is just amazing stuff. North Carolina rate, you can see in 2002 it was 38.3 girls out of 1,000 age 15 to 17 state rate. And currently the state rate is 14.3. Like I said, we're below the state rate. Always changing results are fabulous as well. The last results, and we use iEvaluate out of Greensboro, North Carolina. And what this says with T-test results by iEvaluate, that the post-test scores were significantly higher than pre-test scores. And you can see the scores pre-test. We do pre and post-test every child in 5th and 6th grade. Those scores ranged from 50.3 to 78. And on the post-test, after curriculum was delivered, those scores are 87.7 to 96.2. So, and you know, when this started about 6 or 7 years ago in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade with Title V funding, in my head, going to as many trainings as I do, I knew absolutely 100% sure the teen pregnancy rate would go lower. It had to. What we see now, and this is the first group of kids that we taught in 4th grade. They are in 9th grade this year. So they had 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. They are so intelligent. We talk about penis, vagina, we talk about reproductive system. They remember, they're miles ahead on the curve. This is just like, oh, we get to do this again, great. We already know this. I'm like, well, no, you need it again. That's fine. You can go through this again. And when I look at the statistics, it's working. It really is. Parents matter. When I grow up, I want to be a Parents Matter facilitator. I never thought I would say I want to work with parents, but I love the parents that we have. It is a 5 consecutive Tuesday evenings. We meet right over there in your small conference room from 6 to 7:30. Of course, we're a little afraid when they walk in, but it was the best group of 2 are from Peru. They have lived in LENOIR, I think they said 11 years. We have 2 males, which is fabulous for parents to come. And the objectives of this program is to increase parent-child communication, increase parent awareness about the issues they face, and a big thing that we talk about is media, sexting, the rules that you have as a board. They actually asked, is there anything in the handbook? And oh, there's things in the handbook about sexting. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow night. And we actually are going to role play how to talk to your child about certain topics. One is sexual behavior, of course. And when we go into the classroom, our educators, we go in with the facts. We don't do morals and values. That's not in our curriculum at all. But what we tell the kids is go home, talk to your parents about this. So now we get to say, parents, go home and talk to your kids about your values and morals. We can't tell them what you expect, but you can. So this is going to hopefully help them talk better with their children. And I think that is it. Again, most of our funding is from the Department of Health and Human Services in North Carolina, the United Way here, and of course you guys are so just wonderful to have us here tonight and listen to our statistics, and of course fund us as well. And there's some of our other funders. I think I probably went 52 seconds over, but are there any questions or comments or anything?
Just note to Teresa, she probably needs to connect with you about with Smart Start, about some of the programs that Smart Start offers.
Yes. Actually,
we have.
They are great messengers
we have.
for the program, especially Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. They have brochures and a display in their office, and so they're promoting the importance of early childhood literacy and getting those books into the homes of young children, and they're great as being a member of our partners in the community and spreading the word about early child literacy. Thank you.
And it's nice that I can just run up the stairs and see her. That's nice. Anything else? Again, thank you for your time. Thank you. If you ever have questions, let me know.
You want to introduce your staff member? Oh, I thought you were. I'm giving you extra people, Angie.
Any day of the week. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, moving on to board action item 1. The resolution you have in front of you is on the resolution for K-3 class size ratio. As you know, the General Assembly passed in 2016 Section 833 of the budget bill, and in that it took away the flexibility of school districts to have class size. Caldwell County Schools believes that class size needs to be small. We believe that a smaller classroom, kids will learn better with a more direct time in contact with an individual teacher or instructional assistant. However, as the law is now, or the budget bill now, it does take away that flexibility we have to fund some other positions. And so this resolution is asking the General Assembly to give us the authority to go back to some of that flexibility. The problem for us is that there's no longer funding for arts, PE, and music. All that's been rolled into class size reduction, or to class sizes that we are allocated. And so by having these very strict class sizes, it restricts our ability to use some of that leverage to afford art, music, and PE teachers. So it's a huge thing. It's going to hit us financially unless it is changed by the General Assembly. So this is a resolution asking our General Assembly members to take that up very quickly before we have to begin to start budgeting sessions coming up, because this will be a substantial cut. Possibly 34 positions could be lost or reallocated to class size reduction.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the resolution on K-3 class size ratios.
Second.
All right, anyone have any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The other action item is a revision to Board Policy 8220. We didn't catch this when it came along, when the School Boards Association was working with us, but there's some change we'd like to make to the language in the second paragraph. Originally, as it stands now, the board
has to decide whether or not to accept a gift on behalf of the school system. That could be a $5 gift, that could be a $10 gift, that could be a anything. It could be anything. Any value that's there, it could be your responsibility to accept that. And by accept the gift, that implies some sort of formal action by the board. So what we'd like to recommend is that you give the superintendent the authority to accept the gift, which doesn't require board action, but that every 3 months on your agenda, you will have a list of the things that have been accepted on the board's behalf. We get gifts a lot, little small items, like someone may give us a printer, someone may give us a refrigerator to use at a school. So just wanted to get that from you every month, having to approve those, if you'll just allow us to make this small modification. This is up for a 1-month we would like to put it up for a 1-month comment period.
Okay, do I hear a motion that we place this policy revision approval of proposed policy to, that's 82, policy 8220, for a 1-month comment period?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the proposed policy revision of Board Policy 8220 for a 1-month comment period.
Thank you. Do we have a second? And a second. Any comments, questions?
I remember as principal when the PTO or PTA would raise funds for playground equipment, that we would bring that.
Right.
Is that in the same category as
It would
this?
be. It's any gift. And it would be, right now, currently, I think you all may not even be aware, unless you are particularly affiliated with a school that gets playground equipment. This would now have a reporting requirement to it every 3 months. So it's everything. Even if a PTA buys it, once they buy it, it is gifted to the school system, becomes property. So this way, it would also give you a better reporting, so you'll know everything that we get. I mean, it'll be a comprehensive list.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
And can I add too, that's a good question, because that's also gonna trigger Dr. Burns, that we need to at the next general principals meeting, because I don't think in the past we've been gifting PTA items, making a note of it. So we need to make sure we let principals know that any gift to the system now has a requirement to be reported if this passes. So we need to mention that at the principals meeting. Because I'm not even sure, Teresa, I'm not sure how much we were doing there.
I think that had to do maybe with liability and ownership of the equipment.
Right, and that's the playground equipment, but
Yeah.
I mean, anything that's given to a school has to be reported. And a part of that came out of the General Assembly's push toward ethics training, to make sure there's no gifts that's unaccounted. There's a lot of transparency about
Okay,
gifts.
that makes sense.
But it does require us to do a little bit more, Dr. Burns.
Dr. Stone, you don't always accept every gift, do you?
You know what, I'm trying to think about, I was thinking about that question beforehand, and Jeff, have we always accepted gifts?
Generally, if it matches our systems and what we use and doesn't cause any problem or cost us any money, then yes.
All right, now, we wouldn't probably take some old Apple IIe computers that we'd have to get rid of. So the answer is that we wouldn't take everything unless we have a need for it.
I can sell it at the surplus store.
Jeff could make a few pennies on it, but then we'd have to store it forever and a day. So. I don't know if we've ever turned down anything, and to be honest with
We were
you.
offered a whole truckload of used fluorescent tubes, we turned those down.
Oh, we did. All right, there's your answer.
Yeah, okay.
Anything else, Dr. Stone?
No.
All right. Next, Human Resource Services Director, Associate Superintendent Dr. Trish Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Stone, I have 3 items for your attention tonight, starting with Exhibit 4. Exhibit 4 includes usual and customary personal items presented for information only, requiring no action. Exhibit 5 includes usual and customary personnel items requiring action. I respectfully recommend approval of these items as they have been presented to you.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the usual and customary personnel items as presented.
Second.
Any comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
And last, Exhibit 6 includes student transfer requests. Since your last board meeting, we had a total of 31 requests for student transfers. Of the 31 received, 29 meets established criteria. I respectfully recommend approval of the 29. If approved this evening, that brings the total transfer approved request for the 2016-17 school year to 598. I respectfully recommend approval of those transfers as they have been presented.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the 2016-17 student transfers as presented by Dr. Johnson.
Thank you. We have a second.
I second the motion.
Any comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call on Dr. Jeff Church, Associate Superintendent, Auxiliary Services.
And while Jeff is coming up, when we start inserting that every 4 months, the gifts to the system, this will be where it goes. It's for information only.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Stone, I have 5 items for your attention tonight. The first is exhibit number 7, and that's usual and customary auxiliary service items requiring no board action. Exhibit number 8 is the proposed 2017-18 traditional school calendar. Previously, it was put on a 1-month comment period. We did receive a few comments. Mainly, it was about work days at the beginning of the school year or at the end of the school year, and those are kind of locked in there by state law. So I respectfully request that we approve the calendar as presented tonight.
Can I?
Okay, go ahead.
You know, Jeff mentioned that we did get a lot of comments on this, and some of the comments, of course, would it be have more work days at the end of the school year, the second semester. Of course, with the calendar bookends, we're kind of limited on that. And also, it generated a lot of discussion about whether or not we want to continue to have 2 solid weeks at Christmas and 1 week and a day at Easter, or Good Friday and Easter week. So that's something that I think that we're going to have more discussion as we get the committee together next year, and the board may want to weigh in on it at some point about how you feel about that, because that seems to be the big questions, other than the ones that we don't have any control over. The 2 solid weeks at Christmas. High schools would love to have that January 2nd off for a work day when they come back, as well as the week. I guess the question is, how committed are we to the 2 weeks at Christmas and the week and a day at Easter? So that's something I think we'll ask the committee to weigh in on in the future, and we'd want the board to kind of give us your thoughts about it as well.
And we're actually one of the few districts that do give the complete 2 weeks at Christmas now also.
And one of the things that always complicates that is the day of the week on which Christmas falls keeps changing.
Right.
So it's not like we can pick a system and stick to it, because Christmas and Easter fall on different days every year. So that does make it a little bit more complicated.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the 2017-2018 traditional school calendar?
I had a couple more comments. Is
Okay.
it okay if I share? A couple comments that I heard, noticing that there's not a teacher work day at the end of first 9 weeks and third 9 weeks. And I recognize truly that the trade-off is the full 2 weeks at Christmas. I mean, that's clear that there's a trade-off for, I guess, 17 consecutive days off at Christmas, but there's no work day. And I guess I'm just hoping that teachers recognize this when they've had opportunity for input. I guess my heart goes out for those beginning teachers and not having that day. And also, back to my days at South Caldwell with Dr. Burns, remembering second semester for those 3 traditional high schools is starting school all over again, and only having 1 work day to do that is a huge challenge, because you have to look at the failures from first semester and sometimes change the master schedule to accommodate those students. That concerns me a little bit also. The other feedback that I've received was that all the North Carolina state holidays are official holidays on our calendar except Good Friday. And so I just wonder, is that what we really want to do? That all the other days are official and nobody has school employees or students except for Good Friday? Or do we look at all holidays having the same value?
Does anyone have a motion to approve the calendar?
And right now, we have Good Friday as a optional planning day, so that means that the newer teachers will not be able to take it off,
Right.
but the others will.
It's not an option for
Yeah,
them.
and the option around that would be to look at moving the holiday to the 30th, and then making the second a red day, and maybe making one of those one of the rest of the week a yellow day. I mean, that would be an option if it was important to keep the
Right.
Easter Monday, but
Right,
that
and
would put a yellow day in the middle here.
Yeah.
We can do that easily, if you want to, if we want to flip it.
Just take the green.
Is this? Well, that's true. I mean, but then you would put that yellow day up in November, and you've messed up the first semester with another day out of the first semester. It's hard to do calendars.
It's complicated to get everything.
But the things that Teresa mentioned have been, I mean, we hear that a lot, and it's unfortunate.
Right, and on the early release day, I noticed that they're all on Fridays, and some feedback about, is Friday the best day for teacher professional development? A Friday afternoon, is that the best day to have that kind of training? And I see 2 of them are in the fall when Friday night football's going on, and so, you know.
Miss Branch,
just
part
other
of
one.
what we did was we aligned those with the end of the grading period, knowing that there was a trade-off for the work days. That's why they're kind of odd. 2 of those are odd. They're preserved for end of grade, for grades.
So they'll be able to work in their classrooms
Yes,
and not go to training?
two of them are preserved for that.
Okay, evidently folks I was talking to didn't realize that part. Okay. Good. That helps.
It would be very helpful if the General Assembly would let us have some flexibility.
Absolutely.
Amen.
And isn't that something that our state school board association is working on?
It's
huge.
worked on for years.
And, but this might be a chance that we could get some flexibility if we continue to work with the state school board and with our members of the General Assembly to let them know that. So these are all very valid comments for what we're trying to do. I think probably the biggest thing I heard her say, and that was those of us who didn't have a lot of experience at the high school level, was the work day for second semester starting back. That sounds like that would be one that if we don't get some flexibility, we might look at.
When once you approve the agenda tonight, the calendar is approved. So it may be something that we need to look at in the future. And again, it all depends on where Christmas falls as to what kind of days you can get.
Right.
But we're recommending tonight that we approve the calendar as it is.
Okay, does that include Good Friday being an optional day? Okay.
Yes, it does.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the calendar as been presented by Dr. Church, and you've had opportunity to look at it? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the calendar 2017-18 as presented.
Second.
Okay, a second. Any additional comments or questions at this point? We all know this is a very difficult thing to do.
Yes.
When you got those 2 bookends there, you know, we have talked for years about that flexibility, and we've talked to legislators, and you know, I think when we talk to them, a lot of times they give us some hope, but then in the reality of it, you know, it's just not going to pan out, it seems like. I think there's been maybe some inroads into it. Maybe in the future, we will have an opportunity to get that flexibility that we need there.
If I may, the frustrating part is the law reads the Monday closest to August the 26th, which in the past that's been the 4th week in August. Now is the 5th week in August, so we've lost a week in there that we can't put inside the calendar.
Right.
We have to put outside. That's why we're having issues until we get back closer to that.
I sympathize with you. I know it's got to be a tough job to try to fit everything in.
It's going to be tough the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, yeah. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I oppose based on the fact that I have issues with Good Friday not receiving the same recognition as the other North Carolina state holidays.
Okay, motion is approved. So we have a calendar for our traditional students next year, our traditional calendar.
Exhibit 9 is the Caldwell Early College High School and the Caldwell Middle College calendar. This calendar, we have some flexibility. This one looks a lot different than the one that we just approved. I recommend the start date for this day would be Tuesday, August the 8th, and I don't have an end date on this. It would be determined. It would be in May 18th. Respectfully request that we put this out for 30-day comment period.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we put the 2017-18 early college and Career Center middle college calendar on a 1-month comment period.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Any comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Exhibit 10 is requesting approval to sell a piece of property located at 214 Clark Drive. And I'm going to defer. Our facilities committee met on January the 25th and has a recommendation. I'm going to defer to our facilities committee chair for that recommendation.
The county would like to purchase this piece of property, which is basically below Valmead School, kind of across from the maintenance department. And the county would like to purchase this to put another EMS station there, which would serve basically the northeastern part of the county. This was just part of the original piece of land for the school. It's never been used for anything other than growing grass. The maintenance department goes over a few times a year and cuts the grass so that it doesn't get too tall. But we have no future use for that piece of property. So the recommendation of the facilities committee would be to go ahead and sell that piece of property to the county for the use of EMS services.
Okay.
That was a motion.
Was that a motion?
It comes from committee.
That actually
so
comes from
so-
committee. We don't even need a second
So
for that.
technically, it is a motion that doesn't need a second.
Okay, do we need, does anyone have any questions or comments about it? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. The administration has received a letter from Mr. Smith, principal at South Caldwell, requesting to name the baseball field at South Caldwell High School after Coach Fred Lantford. In order to do so, in order to approve that, we have to convene a public hearing. So the request is to convene a public hearing on March the 13th to hear public comment on naming the baseball field at South Caldwell. And for any specific questions, I have Mr. Smith is here.
Board members, you also have in your packet on the table, you have a letter from the Boosters Club. And the way a public hearing would work, we would attach it to the March 13th board meeting. We would convene at 6 o'clock for a public hearing. And then once that's over, we would convene back to, or we adjourn, and then convene to our regular board meeting. And it would follow pretty much the same rules of the game for public comment. I mean, if there were people who wanted to comment, that's the whole purpose of the public hearing. We'd imagine that the school would want to make a presentation. Anyone who felt differently about it would make a presentation, and we'd allocate about 20 minutes for that public hearing, or less if it didn't materialize. And this is following the board policy
9300.
9300.
We vote that night.
It would be on the agenda for an action item, yes, that night, after the public hearing.
Do I hear a motion that we agree to convene a public hearing on March 13th at 6 o'clock concerning the naming of the baseball field at South Caldwell High School?
I make a motion we have a public hearing on March 13th for the naming of South Caldwell baseball field.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Church. Next, we have Mr. David Johnson, Director of Finance.
Mr. Chairman, board members, and Dr. Stone, I have 4 amendments tonight. The first one is for the State Public School Fund. It's in the amount of $221,177. It includes appropriations for transportation for stop arm cameras, developmental day funds, reimbursement for substitute teacher costs for September, October, November, bonuses for testing, and additional transfers as requested by program directors. The next amendment is for federal funds. It's primarily for the appropriations for the Math and Science Partnership Grant, PRC 112, and it also includes other changes as requested by program directors. The next one is budget amendment number 8. It is for capital outlay funds. It is only a transfer. It does not include additional or new appropriations. And the final one is for budget amendment number 9. It is for special grant funds. It's for a total of $20,000. These funds are appropriated from the Education Foundation to be used for exceptional children's programs. It is the recommendation of the Finance Director that these amendments be approved as submitted. The total budget for Caldwell County Schools will be $121,213,986.70 if these are approved tonight.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the budget amendments presented by Mr. Johnson tonight as presented.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion passes. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson.
Chairman Pennell, I make the motion we go into closed session pursuant to NCGS.143.318.11A5. Closed session to discuss a possible real estate transaction.
Do I hear a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We will be in closed session, and we do expect that there will be a possibility of action when we come out. Okay, very quickly here, we have 3 people who have attended conferences. First of all, Ann, if you will, School Board 101, we'll just take a couple minutes each here with this.
Thank you for sending me to School Board 101 and 102. It was an education from 8 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon in big traffic. And I think the thing that
Hotel you couldn't find.
and hotel I couldn't find. But the one thing that I appreciated learning more than anything, Dottie, and this won't surprise you, is that we have a legislative agenda, that we have support from the state school board. And I think that was the most encouraging to me, because I'm so interested in this K-3 flexibility and this flexibility of our calendar. And I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but that was encouraging to me, because I hope we will have a long partnership with them and be able to work with them to accomplish these things, which are set goals. And so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
And Ann was like big eyes every day about the liability of board members.
Yeah. You didn't tell me that.
I had the opportunity to go to the policy conference, and obviously it was a great conference and a lot of good topics. I was very interested, and I thought Dr. James Johnson from UNC Chapel Hill did a great job with. The title of that one was NC Disruptive Demographics, Implications for K-12 Education. And he cited a number of things, the advent of more immigration into this country, growth from 10.3 million in 1900 to 31.1 million in 2000, and from 2000 to 2014, it went from 31 million to over 42 million. So rapid increase there. Certainly something that public education recognizes, but we must be able to deal with. And another demographic, of course, is the graying of America. As we well know, we're all getting older, and certainly the baby boomers are a big portion of our population. Today, there's 122 million people above the age of 45. There's 105 million below the age of 25. So, this country's population is going up. But something I thought was pretty interesting. Last thing if I can find it here, I thought this was really fascinating, was life expectancy. The average life expectancy in 1850 was 43. The average life expectancy now is 78. With projected medical advancements that they see happening in the future, by 2030, 101. So that was
average life expectancy.
Average life expectancy by 2030.
Goodness.
A mere 13 years from now. So, that. Huh?
I was
born too early. Yeah. But anyway, great conference, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And as always, they did a great job. Dottie, I know you attended.
Right, I was in Washington, D.C. for the advocacy conference, and it was certainly interesting. We managed to miss all the major protests when we went to Capitol Hill on Tuesday. Had a number of good speakers, members of Congress. One we all know, Virginia Fox from Boone, spoke to us at breakfast Monday morning and is quite a strong supporter of the Perkins CTE bill, which I was encouraged about. And I was actually asked by NCSBA to be the spokesperson for career and technical education, because our programs in that area have such a good reputation across the state. We were scheduled to meet with our senators and members of the House on Tuesday. Every single one of them were in hearings or meetings. Senator Burr was actually in the hearing with the current Secretary of Education. There is a great deal of angst, shall we say, among school board members across the nation regarding that process. So we did present to their legislative assistants and basically touched on CTE, the Child Nutrition Act, funding for IDEA, Title I, that sort of thing, and school choice. Those are the 4 main areas. And I also met with legislative assistants. I met with Virginia Fox's, went with Sharon Miller from Cleveland County to meet with Congressman McHenry's legislative assistant, and she's been there quite a while, so we used to be in their district, and so she still knew me and everything like that. And met with Mark Meadows, and during our conversation, when I got to the point about talking about school choice and vouchers and charters and so forth, he looked at me and he said, well, I have to take issue with that. I was homeschooled and went to a charter school, and I won't tell you the words that were running through my head at that point. I did say that, you know, we know that there are charters and homeschools that do a good job, but people who receive public monies must be held accountable in the same way that our public schools are. And I was not going to budge from that. So, as I say, we shall see whether we had any impact or not. But the staff here at the Ed Center are always super about giving me specific information to take, and I always write up, I try to condense it into one page of, you know, some hard facts. And because so many people walk into these members of Congress with a notebook that thick, and you know that those folks aren't going to read it. So I try and keep it short and sweet, and Libby gives me the clever folders with the superhero on the front and so forth. And so, as I say, I try to keep it short and sweet.
Well, thank you, Dottie. We appreciate all
Chairman-
you do there.
Chairman Pennell, is it appropriate to ask you a question
Sure.
now? It's appropriate.
Mhm.
We had mentioned possibly the facilities committee or whomever would go with Jeff or in some way and make visitations. Would that be something that your office would set up? Or
Jeff's office.
Jeff will do that, and you'll just get in touch with us. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
And maybe if there's a way just to offer it up, for finance committee to make the same run, just to hear, and maybe if there's a way to get somebody from student services there, because they provided a lot of that initial information when we were talking about that process. I want to say thank you for Dottie for being our messenger about public education, and thank you to Dwayne for making that contact and sharing the letter that you got back that really didn't say a lot. But we appreciate your contact
Well,
and your effort.
actually, the letter said President-elect Trump, if you go back and look at it. Senator Burr's office completely got that one.
That was,
Yeah.
And I wanna-
But thanks for making the contact.
Yeah.
And I want to second that too, because we really do appreciate all of that. And the need to try to do any more than the note we got from you today with our current members, representatives, is there anything else we
Well,
need to do to try to?
anytime that I send a letter, I'll send you all a copy of the email or something. So if you want to piggyback on that, or you want to call or do something, your association usually will send you an alert as well. Do you all get the alerts from the School Boards Association? Mm-hmm.
Because I think, I really think it might make a difference. I hope it does.
Last
And thank
thing.
you for the Valentine's Day.
This is from the school system? Thank you. We appreciate that. Anything else? Do I hear a motion we adjourn?
I move.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye, and we are adjourned, and happy Valentine's Day.